Gillard Government has urged Australians to be conscious of their personal security while travelling abroad, given the expectation that Al-Qaeda may mount revenge attacks. The Defence Minister, Stephen Smith, is standing by in Canberra, and to speak to him is political editor Chris Uhlmann.
Stephen Smith, welcome.
Pleasure.
Now, Pakistan must have known, and known for years, where Osama bin Laden was.
Well, that's an assertion. I don't know what evidence you have to base that on.
He was in a high-security compound, 100 kilometres from the capital, 8 times larger than anything around it, 6-metre high walls.
It doesn't follow from that Pakistan or the Pakistan state or the Pakistan government was knowingly harbouring. I think the most important element of today's events, so far as Pakistan is concerned, is that President Obama has made it clear that Pakistan assisted, and that when he rang President Zardari to effectively thank him, they both welcomed the outcome. So that's a good sign.
But the US didn't tell Pakistan ahead of this.
Well, you don't know that.
It's been stated, I thought, that they told no one until after the operation had been carried out.
There's no doubt that the matter was very closely held. That's the first point. It's also clear to me from President Obama's comments that he was pleased with Pakistan's assistance. Now, what the nature, extent of that was, I'm not pretending that we have access to that at this stage, but I regard it today, in terms of Pakistan making a significant contribution, as a good development.
So you trust Pakistan?
Well, I trust Pakistan to understand that the terrorist existence on the Pakistan-Afghanistan border is not just a problem for Afghanistan, it's also a problem for Pakistan. Indeed, at times, others have thought that perhaps it's an existential threat to Pakistan.
I guess that's the point, though, because as a defence minister who has troops in Afghanistan, it is absolutely important that you can trust Pakistan, that operations aren't launched from inside its territory with its intelligence agencies knowing that that's going on.
Well, what is absolutely essential is that Pakistan continues to make progress against extremism, and in recent years we have seen Pakistan do a significant amount, particularly in the old federally administered territorial areas, in the FATA area, to seek to stare down extremism and terrorism. Is there more to do? Yes. Is there a long way to go? Yes. But what we do know is essential is the cooperation of the Pakistan state, the cooperation of the Pakistan government is absolutely essential to an enduring settlement in Afghanistan.
What does the death of Osama bin Laden mean, do you think?
Well, I think two things. Firstly, it is a considerable setback for Al-Qaeda, a considerable setback for international terrorism. That's the first point. Secondly, having made that point, we can't claim victory. International terrorism is a multi-headed monster, and other people will move to take his place. Perhaps they will not replace him in full, but nonetheless, Al-Qaeda and its various associates will continue. We know that Al-Qaeda in the Afghanistan-Pakistan border is not the only terrorist threat that the international community faces.
Osama bin Laden must have contemplated his death for a long time. Do you fear that there will be reprisals, and perhaps well-planned reprisals?
Well, this is one of the dangers, and the United States has made this clear with its travel alert, and we have also issued a travel bulletin just indicating to people that there is a risk of reprisals, and people need to, both internationally and domestically, conduct themselves with the usual vigilance. We haven't increased our threat alert either onshore or offshore, but people do need to be wary, and our own travel bulletin indicates to people they should avoid large gatherings of people associated with the aftermath of this event.
Of course, what Osama bin Laden did spawned the war in Afghanistan. We are still there a decade on, and there is no real end in sight, is there?
Well, I was in Afghanistan last week, and I returned for the first time after a visit to Afghanistan with some sense of cautious optimism that we're making progress. There's a long way to go, but we are advancing on the transition front. It's quite clear we've made up ground so far as security is concerned. We are steeling ourselves for the forthcoming summer fighting season, but we have made progress, and the transition is being effected slowly but surely in Oresgon.
Has it been worth it? Trillions of dollars have been spent on two wars, not just one. Thousands of people have died on both sides. Has this been worth it?
Well, staring down international terrorism, stopping Afghanistan again becoming a breeding ground for international terrorism, with adverse consequences for Australian families, whether that's in the United States on September 11, whether it's in London, whether it's in Bali, whether it's in Jakarta. We see the adverse consequences for Australia and the rest of the community when we don't take a stand against terrorism.
Speaking of Jakarta, Abu Bakr Bashir has released a statement from his jail cell saying the jihad will continue, that it continues, that Osama's death does not make Al-Qaeda dead.
Which is why I say, whilst we can understand that today is a significant setback for Al-Qaeda, it is not the end of the battle. Other associates will take his place in due course.
Just very briefly, Minister, is there a danger in triumphalism? Some of the images that we've seen out of the United States wouldn't look out of place with some of the images that we see from other capitals around the world.
I think we do have to understand very clearly that for very many people in the United States and for some Australian families, this will be closure to a terrible, tragic personal event where loved ones were taken away in the blink of an eye. They now have some closure. And so, whilst some might describe that as triumphalism, we need to understand the raw emotions that are there for a country, a people, and individual families.
Stephen Smith, thank you.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks very much.